now formally welcome you to and introduce you to John Bell. And John has been a member of First Church in Belmont since 1985. And some of you were around then. He's been active in various pursuits at First Church. He has been involved with the Sister City Project, and John mentioned that some of you had been involved in that way back also. The other thing, of course, that is central to who John is, he is a Buddhist Dharma teacher and is very skilled at that. And we are delighted because this goes along very well with some of the things that John practices regularly. And if we ever needed kindness, now would be the time. And so without any further ado, I'm going to turn the program over to John Bell.
Thank you. My name is Dorothy Stoneman, as you can see on my tag. I'm actually using Dorothy's computer. Dorothy's under John Bell. She's waving at us now. Some of you know Dorothy. And Dorothy grew up in the church as a little girl on up. So we have a long history with the church. I'm so glad you're here. Glad to see people I know and old friends, people from my meditation group here, friends from Great Barrington and other places in my life. And glad to meet the people I haven't got a chance to meet yet. I'd like to, in the Buddhist tradition, we usually start programs with the bell. I'd like to invite 3 sounds of the bell. I hope it comes through. Sometimes the bell on electronic platforms kind of falls flat, but just relax for a moment. You might close your eyes. Well, again, I'm so glad you're here to participate in an exploration of kindness. And the invitation here is for you to be kind to yourself by allowing yourself to be fully present, to relax into the stories and songs that you're about to hear, and to open your heart as much as possible to the stirrings that might come. A lot of beautiful things that you're going to see and hear, I think. I'm going to share my screen. Wave goodbye to everybody. You'll see them later. No. Okay, I hope you can all see that. Hold on. So I'd like to start with a kind of a meditation song by a friend of mine, Jamie Russick. You might want to just close your eyes and listen to this.
What is the greatest? What is the greatest? What is the greatest wisdom of all? What is the greatest? What is the greatest? What is the greatest wisdom of all? Kindness, kindness, that is the greatest wisdom of all. Kindness, kindness. That is the greatest wisdom of all.
Feel free to hum along.
What is the greatest? What is the greatest? What is the greatest wisdom of all? What is the greatest? What is the greatest? What is the greatest wisdom of all? Kindness, kindness, that is the greatest wisdom of all. Kindness, kindness, that is the greatest wisdom of all.
Ah, it's a beautiful song. So I have to say it was challenging preparing for this presentation because it was a deep dive into the interconnection. I had a hard time separating kindness from most everything else. I began to ask myself questions about kindness. And in the Hindu and Buddhist traditions, there's a wonderful image, something called Indra's net. So you picture an infinite web, and at each nexus, each node, there's a jewel with innumerable number of facets which reflect all the other jewels in the web. And it's sort of like that when I started thinking about this. And here's some of the questions that I asked myself. What does it mean to be kind? What does being kind to myself look like at all the levels? Body, mind, my work, relationship, spiritual practice. What does being kind to others look like? Who am I not kind to and why? Do I think they don't deserve my kindness? Why? What are the obstacles to kindness to myself, to others? Which obstacles are rooted in family, in my ancestry, in culture, race, or other conditioning? When have I received kindness from others, and what was that like? When have I been kind to others, and what was that like for me? How is my society or culture kind or not kind to me, to other people, to living beings? Is kindness separate from love, compassion, respect, gratitude, equanimity, reverence, curiosity, generosity, courage? Is resistance to what inhibits kindness, kindness? When and why am I kind to some people and other beings and not to others? For example, why do I put food out for songbirds but swat mosquitoes? How is being kind to another also being kind to myself? Where have I failed to be kind? Why? What are the ways that kindness shows up as fierceness, as in saying no to injustice, as in standing up against oppression? When is staying in a difficult relationship kind? When is it kind to leave a difficult relationship? When might hitting someone be an act of kindness? What forms of kindness are needed to face the climate crisis? How does racism or sexism or heterosexism or anti-Semitism make kindness harder? Is a thoroughly kind society or world possible? Why or why not? Is giving money to a street person kind or not? Why do I decide to give money or not to give money? How does my conditioning to feel separate impact kindness? Is it my kindness? Who is being kind? When is it kind to speak? When is it kind not to speak? And how do I understand acts of kindness in the context of oppression, like Mandela's prison guard or Thomas Jefferson's love for Sally Hemings, his slave mistress? So on and on in this complex, interconnected Indra's net. So since the topic seems pretty infinite to me, I'm going to focus on just some aspects of kindness that are not typically talked about as kindness. Being kind to ourselves and like resting and exercising and forgiving ourselves when we make mistakes, that's all good. And also sometimes our self-soothing or comforting practices substitute for deeper kindness that we long for, the kindness that invites us home, invites us to be present, invites us to our true nature. So claiming our true nature, sometimes, kindness is not always the hallmark card version of kindness, sweet and sentimental. Sometimes it's fierce, sometimes it's deep. I think true kindness is first and foremost embracing the noble aspects of who we are. I think one of the deepest spiritual questions is the question, who am I? Who are we? Because our conditioning is mainly forced us to accept a small view of who we are. So here's a Jungian analyst, Robert Johnson. He says, curiously, people resist the noble aspects more strenuously than they hide their dark sides. It's more disrupting to find out you have a profound nobility of character than to find out you're a bum. And Buddha told us, if it were not possible to free the heart from entanglement in greed, hate, and fear, I would not teach you to do so. So we have it on good authority that it's possible and that we are wonderful. So here's my teacher, Vietnamese Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh. He had a stroke in 2014, has been off the public stage since then, but he's been such a great teacher to millions and millions of people. And he, in 1994, offered a poem called Our True Heritage. I'd like to read that to you. The cosmos is filled with precious gems. I want to offer a handful of them to you this morning. Each moment you are alive is a gem, shining through and containing earth and sky, water and clouds. It needs you to breathe gently for the miracles to be displayed. Suddenly you hear the birds singing, the pines chanting. You see the flowers blooming, the blue sky, the white clouds, the smile, and the marvelous look of your beloved. You, the richest person on earth, who have been going about begging, stop being the destitute child. Come back and claim your heritage. Enjoy your happiness and offer it to everyone. Cherish this very moment. Let go of the stream of distress and embrace life fully in your arms. Thank you, dear teacher. There's another one by Marianne Williamson, a very good spiritual teacher, not a great presidential candidate, but she wrote a beautiful poem. Sometimes it was attributed to Nelson Mandela, who claimed to have read it, or some people claim to have read it in his inaugural address. That's not true, neither one, but it's a very good poem. You can read it, but you might want to just close your eyes and listen to it first. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We're all meant to shine as children do. The glory of God is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So kindness in many, many directions. When does kindness begin? It's a question I didn't put on my list, but a good question, right? So here's one place. In 1995, the Jackson twin girls were born 12 weeks premature. In their separate bassinets, one was thriving, the other was failing. And a pediatric nurse broke the hospital protocol and placed the failing twin in her sister's crib. Her sister immediately put her arm around her ailing sister, whose vital signs began to improve right away. Today, they're both healthy 25-year-olds. And this also changed the hospital practice from that time on. So it begins pretty early. This is my grandson, Antu, at about 3 days old. I love this picture. It's on my phone as my screensaver. I look at it so many times a day because it reminds me of the feeling that we have. It's kind of a universal feeling towards infants, right? That caring and kindness and wanting to shelter and protect and cherish and not let anything happen. We all feel that. This beautiful picture. And even in difficult situations, right? So refugees on the road. So kindness towards other beings also. This is a poem by an Abenaki indigenous man named Joseph Ruckach. It's called Birdfoot's Grandpa. And my guess is that the author was named Birdfoot when he was younger. It goes like this. The old man must have stopped our car 24 times to climb out and gather into his hands the small toads blinded by our lights and leaping live drops of rain. The rain was falling, a mist about his white hair, and I kept saying, "You can't save them all. Accept it. Get back in. We've got places to go." But leathery hands full of wet brown life, knee deep in the summer roadside grass, he just smiled and said, "They have places to go too." Yeah. Kindness in many directions. The Dalai Lama, gives speeches in big auditoriums and arenas and hotel conference centers, but he always makes a point to go visit the kitchen staff or the security staff wherever he is. Here he is somewhere in Africa. And I just love the tenderness in this photo. No discrimination, kindness in all directions. No one better than another. So sometimes kindness is cultivating joy. Some of you may have seen this picture. It just makes me laugh every time I see it. I don't know. There's a wonderful group called Playing for Change, and they work with musicians all over the world. And they did this wonderful version of the song that we all love. You could feel free to sing along if you'd like.
Don't worry, be happy.
Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to sing it note for note. Don't worry. Be happy. In every life we have some trouble. When you worry, you make it double. Don't worry. Be happy. Your bed, but don't worry. Be happy. The landlord say your rent is late. He may have to litigate, but don't worry. Be happy. To make you smile, but don't worry. Be happy.
'Cause when you worry, your face will frown, and that will bring everybody down. So don't worry, no, no, no. Be happy. Be happy now. Oh, don't worry. Just don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry.
Don't worry. Be happy. Be happy. Don't
I hope you enjoyed that, and just let yourself be happy. Sometimes in this world, we have to look on the bright side. Oops, got it. So I don't know whether you've heard about the story of Owen and Mazee. So kindness between species. In the tsunami in Southeast Asia in 2004, there was a hippo, herd that got swept away in the river. And this little guy, this baby hippo, was abandoned. And he was rescued and brought to, this is on the east coast of Africa. He was brought to a Haller Park in Mombasa. And the 160-year-old sea tortoise adopted him, and they became very close. they would do this. So I'm going to show you just a little short video about their relationship. Very sweet. And just
Love has a way of finding you when you need her most. When you're in a corner, dealing with your ghosts. When you're much too scared, listen with your soul. Yeah, I call you from across the ocean. Love has a way of finding you when you need her most. When you're in a corner, dealing with your ghosts. When you're much too scared, listen with your soul. Yeah, I call you from across the ocean. Love has a way of finding you when you need her most. When you're in a corner, dealing with your ghosts. When you're much too scared, listen with your soul. Yeah, I call you from across the ocean. Love has a way of finding you when you need her most. When you're in a corner, dealing with your ghosts. When you're much too scared, listen with your soul. Yeah, I call you from across the ocean.
I wish I could see all your faces and the smiles as we watch these different videos. So another way that kindness comes through is as gratitude. And this is another wonderful performance artist named Nemo Patel. He has an outfit called Empty Hands Music. He does a lot of wonderful videos. So enjoy this one as on gratitude.
You're my life, you're my breath, you're a smile, you're my guest. You're the earth, you're the sun, you're the grass, you are love. You're my hands, you're a bug, you're my eyes, you're a hug. You're the light in the dark, you're the spark, you are fun. You're my mom, you are water, you're the stars, you're my daughter. You're my friend till the end, you're my dreams, you're my father. You're the ants on the ground, the miracles that surround. I'm feeling it all around, the hemisphere and the clouds. You're my pain, you're my sorrow, you're my hope for tomorrow. You're the strength when I'm hollow, you're the path that I follow. You're the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss. The gift to realize that everything
All
is a
that
gift.
I am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all, for it all. Grateful for it
You're the blessings every time I try to count. You're the lessons that I learned every time I turn around. You're the water when I'm burned every time I think I found everything I'm looking for. You're the sign saying stop to take a bow and keep moving forward and start looking towards your heart. It'll open all the doors and only then you'll start to hear the world singing chorus with your mind and heart aligned in purpose. Everything
all
will
that
feel
I
gorgeous.
am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing,
sit and pray, cause what I have is more than I deserve or could ever imagine. How do I give back to all of this magic and spread the love so everybody can have it? Doesn't matter if I'm rich or poor, if I got a family or if I'm all alone. Bad things happen, I can just complain and moan. But there's a million things that I can be grateful for.
So I lift up my hands now, and I open my heart, and my gratitude goes out to everything near and far. All that I am, all that I see,
Everything I hope and everything I dream, everything I feel and everything I be. I look deep down and feel all the blessings. Everything I am and everything I see, everything I hope and everything I dream, everything I feel and everything I be. I'm grateful for it all. It's amazing. Everything I am and everything I see, everything I hope and everything I dream, everything I feel and everything I be. I look deep down and feel all the blessings. Everything I am and everything I see, everything I hope and everything I dream, everything I feel and everything I be. I'm grateful for it all. It's amazing. You're the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize that everything is a gift.
Wait, one more. This is for y'all.
all that I am.
It's so amazing.
I am grateful.
Oh, I enjoyed that a lot. No? So I'd like to shift a little bit and tell you 3 stories. First one is a mother who kills her son's killer. A 14-year-old boy had shot and killed an innocent teenager to prove himself to his gang. At the trial, the victim's mother sat passively silent until the end when the youth was convicted of the killing. After the verdict was announced, she stood up slowly, stared directly at him and said, "I'm going to kill you." Then the youth was taken off to serve years in the juvenile facility. After the first half year, the mother of the slain child went to visit his killer. He'd been living on the streets before the killing, and she was the only visitor he'd had. For a time they talked, and when she left, she gave him some money for cigarettes. Then she started step by step to visit him more regularly, bringing food and small gifts. Near the end of his 3-year sentence, she asked him what he was going to do when he got out. He was confused and very uncertain. So she offered to set him up with a job at a friend's company. Then she inquired about where he would live, and since he had no family to return to, she offered him temporary use of the spare room in her home. For 8 months, he lived there, ate her food, and worked at the job. Then one evening, she called him into the living room to talk. She sat down opposite him and waited. Then she started. "Do you remember the time in the courtroom when I said I was going to kill you?" "Yeah, I sure do," he said. "Well, I did," she went on. I did not want the boy who killed my son for no reason to remain alive on the earth. I wanted him to die. That's why I started to visit you and bring you things. That's why I got you the job and let you live here in my home. That's how I set about changing you. And that old boy, he's gone. So now I want to ask you, since my son is gone and that killer is gone, if you'll stay here. I've got room and I'd like to adopt you if you let me. And she became the mother of her son's killer, the mother he never had. I think I'll just invite a bell for us to absorb that. So the second story is one that many years ago, I was teaching a peer counseling class, deep listening class over a long period of time. And it was a class mixed with lots of different people. There was a nuclear physicist, lawyers, some therapists, teachers, artists, and there were a couple of people from the local East Harlem community where Dorothy and I were working. One was named Ellen. Ellen was a salt of the earth, heavy set, working class woman, raised poor, Irish woman. And she loved the class. She kept, and her husband, Dino, would drop her off. Now, Dino was an Italian guy, heavy set, thick, sort of a stereotypically thug look, thick neck, looked kind of mean. And she would talk about him sometimes in class, in the whole class session. And he said, you know, I love my husband, but I don't like what he does. He's a hitman for the mafia. He's the one that drives in the shotgun in the passenger seat. And when they drive up next to this target, they roll down the window and he takes the shotgun and blows a guy away. You know, we were like, So 6 months into the class, Linda comes up to me afterwards and says, Dino would like to join. I said, join what? She said, join the class. I took a deep breath. I said, why? Well, you know, I go down home and I talk to him about what's happening here, and he sees me making big moves and I'm getting happier and functioning better. And he said, I'd like to check it out. So again, I took another deep breath and I said, okay, invite him next week. So next week they come together, and we usually sat in a circle, and there was one soft velour covered armchair. So Dino heads right for that chair. Nobody argued with him. They were all a little surprised to see him. He took the chair and moved it way, way, way back out of the circle. And he sat there with his arms crossed across his chest. And he sat there kind of glowering. And he sat there week after week after week. A little unnerving. And people would come up to me afterwards and say, what's happening with Dino? I said, I don't know, but I know one thing. He keeps coming back. So 1 week after this, all of a sudden, Dino says, I want to talk. And he scoots his chair up into the circle and says something like this. I grew up in East Harlem. It was a rough neighborhood. When I was 10 years old, I got polio. I had a brace on my knee, a gimpy leg, limped, and the other guys beat the shit out of me. And I had to get tough. So I got tough as nails. And the older people, the older guys said, so they gave me jobs. It made me feel good. You know, they made me feel like a man. And as I got older, they gave me more jobs, and I'd done some bad stuff. And we knew what he was talking about, of course, because Linda had, you know, shared all that with us. And then he leans forward and he said, I don't want to do it no more. And you could just see he slumped over. And of course, half of the room was in tears, because all of a sudden, this man's humanity comes just shining through, just coming out. waiting for the right opportunity to show himself. And from that time on, he began to have, co-listening sessions with people in the class. We appreciated him a lot. He would just giggle and laugh. I mean, he was a big, tough looking guy, and he would just laugh and giggle because no one had ever appreciated him. He used to do the tent hugs where he'd hug when really far apart. Pretty soon he began to really do full embrace hugs, even with the men. Lots of changes happening. Long story short, Linda, Ellen and Dino finally split up because she was making moves faster than him. But he moved away, moved out of East Harlem, left the mob, and last I heard, he was doing fine. So to me, this is a beautiful example of somebody waiting for the right conditions, that all of us are waiting for the right conditions. And there was enough kindness and respect and inclusion feeling in the group that he sensed that he could make a move, and he went for it. One more story. In the Babembe tribe in South Africa, this is an example of cultural kindness. So the Babembe tribe of South Africa, when a person acts irresponsibly or unjustly or violates the norms of the tribe, he's placed in the center of the village alone and unfettered, and all work stops, and every man, woman, and child in the village gathers around in a large circle, and around the accused person, and each person of the tribe speaks to the accused one at a time, each one recalling the good things that the person in the center of the circle has done in his lifetime. Every incident, every experience that can be recalled with detail and accuracy is recounted. All his positive attributes, good deeds, strengths, and kindnesses are recited carefully and at length. Sometimes, apparently, this takes days. At the end of this ritual, the circle is broken, and joyous celebration takes place, and the person is symbolically and literally welcomed back into the tribe. I thought, what an act of kindness, cultural kindness, instead of exiling somebody or shunning someone or punishing them or killing them or executing them, stoning them. They have a restorative process. They know that the person needs to be brought back in. We don't want to be exiled. Beautiful story, I always feel. So here's a wonderful example of a different kind of kindness, of what I call inviting the enemy to a higher purpose, enemy in quotes. I heard this story from Van Jones, who said that when W.F. de Klerk's nationalist government, they were in a room waiting for, this is after Mandela was released after 27 years in prison. And there was going to be a meeting about the transition of power from the nationalist government to the African National Congress. So the de Klerk's people were waiting for the ANC leadership to arrive. They were scared they would be exiled, imprisoned, or otherwise punished. But Mandela arrived and he addressed them in Afrikaans, which is the language of the oppressor. And he said something like this: the Afrikaans people have developed amazingly productive agricultural sector, wealth producing mines and manufacturing enterprises, a security system second to none. With talent and expertise like that, I am sure that together we can build a strong new South Africa. And the nationalists were just stunned. Mandela had a vision for them that was higher than the vision they had for themselves. This, I think, is a kind of kindness. Again in South Africa, the great Archbishop Tutu during the Peace and the Truth and Reconciliation, he said a statement which I think is profound. He said, there can be no peace without reconciliation, no reconciliation without forgiveness, and no forgiveness without giving up all hope for a better past. There's so much wisdom in that. We could unpack that for days and days. To engage in a process like that around our racial trauma and the genocide trauma, what would that look like? To me, this is a kind of kindness. I hope you can see it in all these different things, the way that, the why I had such a hard time just having a simple presentation on kindness. So again, kindness sometimes is fierce, being kind, living up to our ideals. Here's a beautiful video collage and song by the Black women's a cappella group Sweet Honey in the Rock, where the chorus, a song by Ella Baker, about Ella Baker, called Ella's Song. The chorus goes, "We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes."
We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. We who believe in freedom cannot rest.
Oh, how can you
We
rest?
who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Until the killing of black men, black mothers, sons is as important as the killing of white men, white mothers, sons. Sing with us. We who believe in freedom cannot rest.
Oh, how can you
We
rest?
who believe in freedom cannot rest. The older I get, the better I know that the secret to my going on is when the reins are in the hands of the young, there to run against the storm, not needing to clutch for power, not needing for the light just to shine on me. I need to be one in the number as we stand against tyranny. But now we who believe in freedom cannot rest.
Don't you
We
rest?
who believe in freedom cannot rest. You know that struggling myself don't need a whole lot. I come to realize that teaching others to stand undivided is the only way my struggle survives. I'm a woman who speaks in a voice,
In a boy,
and I must be heard. At times I can be quite difficult, but I'm about to no man's word. And that we who believe in freedom cannot rest.
oh, don't you
We
rest?
who believe in freedom cannot rest. One more time now, we who believe in freedom cannot rest. I believe, I believe, I believe. Do you believe? Do you believe? Believe in freedom. Yes.
Mm. Oh, yes. Ah, yes. So many of us were in some of those struggles in the past. Then there's the future. And sometimes I think that of this full idea of kindness includes a vision for a brighter future. Here's a short little video of this. I have two more, this one and one last one to show you. So.
One day, we will wake up to find that the energy that powers the alarm clock came from the breeze through the trees the night before. And we will go to work that morning riding the rays of the sun. It will light our cities and power our businesses. It will warm our homes and cool our workplaces. It will reduce sources of conflict and fuel our economies. It will connect us all. It won't scar the land or poison the seas. The food we eat will be good for our bodies and good for the planet. And the weather that day won't make us worry for tomorrow. There will be more jobs and less disease. The sea level will stop rising. And species will stop dying. The question is, how do we get to that day from where we are today? All 7.3 billion of us. We start by deciding that beyond our doubts and differences, such a day truly exists. And that is something each of us can do today. We can make today the day we stop thinking that the changes required to get there are impossible and beyond us, and start realizing that they are not only possible, but what the future requires of us. We must stop turning from the warnings of science and fear and denial, and instead turn toward the solutions and partnerships we need. We can make today the day we stop pointing at each other in blame and instead chart a new course together. We have never faced a crisis this big, but we have never had a better opportunity to solve it. We have everything we need to wake up to a different kind of world. We need our leaders to be brave and their choices to be bold. They will either remember us as the generation that destroyed its home, or the one that finally came to respect it. We have every reason in the world to act. We can't wait until tomorrow. This is our only home. You can choose today to make a world of difference.
So, dear friends, I have one more offering around kindness to show you. Some of you have seen this before, perhaps. But, and I've seen it many times, like you just to relax and open your heart to this. It moves me each time I see it. This is an example of a person making a very vulnerable, personal, public gesture of kindness.
In this heart lies for you a lark born only for you, who sings
is for you, my love, my love, my love. This is my grief for you. There are rays on the weather. Soon these tears will have cried. All loneliness have died. My love, my love, my love, I will have you with me in my arms only, for you my love, my love, my love.
Hmm. Hmm. Ah. Especially after seeing that last one, it's hard sometimes for me to speak. The humanity and the caring, it's what we want, that kind of connection. Thank you very much for your attention. What I would like to do is invite us to spend a couple minutes in pairs, just to really listen to each other about what arose for us, thoughts, feelings, openings, disagreements, whatever. Then we'll come back together, as many of you can share until 5:30 and see what comes up. But it's good, I've found, when you watch something as sort of that spans what we just saw, sometimes we're filled up, and it's good to have a little time to process it with another person first before in a public. I'd like to end, dear friends, with a following up on what Karsten was saying, that Buddhism has a loving kindness practice. Many of us have heard that phrase. It's in the common culture now. This is a beautiful one from Green Faith, which is a multi-faith organization, climate oriented. It goes like this. It's called Metta Prayer for World Well-Being. And you might want to just close your eyes and take this as a meditation moment. May all places be held sacred. May all beings be cherished. May all ensnared in greed come to know the true source of happiness. May all captured by hatred be freed to the love that is their birthright. May all lost in delusion find relief in the path of wisdom. May all bound by fear be released to the safety of understanding. May all weighed down by grief be given over to the joy of being. May all injustices of enslavement, oppression, and devaluation be righted, remedied, and healed. May all wounds to forests, rivers, deserts, mountains, and oceans, may all wounds to this precious earth be lovingly restored to bountiful health. May all beings everywhere delight in whale song, bird song, and blue sky. May all beings abide in peace and well-being, awaken and be free. Thank you, dear friends. John bowing out.
And
Keep at
thank
it.
you,